protester or something. Some woke protester.
Okay, we're going live. We're going live. We're live.
Tie your head in a bun.
We're on live.
We're live.
So, moderator, introduce Shuradwaiti Maharaj. He's singing Braja Vipine.
I was told I was not the moderator, but
all
okay.
Right, then I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm ready to do it. Okay. So welcome everybody. Live Zoom today is the 10th day of our parikrama, and Srila Gurudev used to say, reached about this 10th day, that we should thank all of those controlling personalities, etc., that we've met with no accidents or any problems so far. He would always appreciate that we've had a smooth journey, because so many things can actually, obstruct our parikrama. So today we're going to Akrura-ghata. Then we're going to visit the Yajna-patnis. Then we're going to Mana-sarovara, and then we're going to Mathavana, Bhadravana, Bhandiravana. Those places. Yesterday we missed out Naradkund and a few small places before that. That was Ratna Singhasan, Shyamakuti, Vala, Pokar, and Kolila Kund. So I'm just mentioning those places for us to appreciate. And perhaps if we have time later, we'll get back to them. Okay, so Shuradwaiti Maharaj, Sripad Bhaktivedanta Shuradwaiti Maharaj will do the kirtan today. And Braja Vipine. Okay, Maharaj. I have to turn this down.
Right? A very beautiful bhajan from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of my favorites. Braja Vipine, Jamuna Kunde, Mancho Manohara, Shobita Ude. Vanaspati Lata Kusayaki, Tadupari Katu Dakaye Paki, Tadupari Katu Dakaye Paki. Malaya Amila Bahaya Dire, Malaya Amila Bahaya Dire. Ali Kulamatu Lobete Tire, Vasantiraka Udupatada, Komudi Bitare Adarisada, Komudi Bitare Adarisada. Emato Samaye Rasiko Vada, Arapilo Rasan Muralitara. Shatakoti gopi majete hari, Satakoti gopi majete hari, Radha sana che anande kori, Radha sana che anande kori. Madhavana ini Jaya Gita, Arilo Sakala Jagata Chita. Savanadangamo Sati, Araholo Chandravali Ramati, Araholo Chandravali Ramati. Matya Varaja Kishoramana, Antarita Haya Radhatana, Bhakti Vinoda Paramadagani, Rasa Bangal Raji Radha Bihane, Rasa Bangal Raji Radha Bihane. Shatakoti Gopi Madhavana, Rakite Narilo Kori Jatana, Venukite Dake Radhikona, Venite dake radiko namo, esho rate dakar Esho rate dakar Oh, Bangiya Shirasa Dalatabe Radha Shane Shanaye Jabe De Kamliya Radhe Raka Prana Boliya Kanda Kana Kana Boliya Kanda Kana Oh, Dirjane Kanande Radhare Hori Milia Panana Juraye Hari Ole tu vina ka rasa Ole tu vina ka rasa Tu lagi more bajar basa Tu lagi more bajar basa Eno radika Natale Pakati vino da Wagana maje amani Wagana maje amani Kinkari kori yoraka apani Kinkari kori yoraka apani Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Thakur Bhakti Vinod, Thakur Bhakti Vinod, Bhakti Vinod, Thakur Bhakti Vinod, Thakur Bhakti Vinod, Thakur Bhakti Vinod. Bhakti Vinod Thakur Bhakti Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Guru Deva Shila Guru Deva
Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Guru Deva Shiva Guru Deva
Shila Guru Deva Ki Jai.
I'm going to read the translation of this beautiful bhajan. So in the forests of Braja, along the banks of the Jamuna, there are enchanting platforms beautifully decorated with flowers. Varieties of fruit trees and creepers give satisfaction to the eyes. On them many birds sing sweetly. A cooling breeze from the Malaya hills blows gently, and a swarm of bumblebees wanders about in search of honey. The full moon of the spring season continuously distributes its soothing rays out of love. At such a time, the supreme relisher of nectarine mellows, Muralidhar Shri Krishna, begins the rasa dance. In the midst of millions of lovely cowherd damsels, Sri Hari blissfully dances with Radha. Singing beautiful songs, the enchantress of Madhav captivates the minds of all living beings. All moving and non-moving beings are enchanted by the chaste Radha, who has defeated the pride of Chandravali. After churning Brajakishore's heart, Radharani disappears from the Basant Ras. Bhaktivinoda foresees trouble in the absence of Radha. The rasa dance has now stopped. Millions of lovely cowherd damsels are unable to keep Madhava's attention, despite their great endeavor to do so. The flute song calls the name Radhika. Come here, Radhe. Petitions Shyam. When he goes in search of Sri Radha, the rasa dance comes to a halt, exclaiming, "O Radha, please save my life by giving me your darshan." Krishna weeps in the forest. Embracing Sri Radha and reconciling with her in a secluded grove, Sri Hari revives his life. He says, "Without you, what is the question of performing ras? Only because of you do I live in Braja." Weeping at the lotus feet of this Radhika, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, "Count me among your personal associates and keep me as your maidservants." Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Gaur Premanande. You got to unmute. Maharaj, you have to unmute. You're muted.
Jai Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Girit Hari Shri Shri Radha Vinodi Hari Juki Jai Shri Shri Radha Radhaman Juki Jai Shri Shri Madan Mohan Shri Shri Radha Govinda Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pada Tarsat Sri Srimad Abhay Chanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nityalila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Padasta Tatsat Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Raj Ki Jai Jai Nityalila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Padasta Tatsat Sri Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Raj Ki Jai Jai Nityalila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Parasta Tatsat Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Mahabhagavad Srila Gaur Kishoras Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Sachitananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Gauri Vedanta Charja Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu Ki Jai Srila Vishwanath Chakvari Thakur Ki Jai Shri Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Traya Ki Jai Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Surup Damodar Roy Ramananda Adi Gaura Parshavindi Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haras Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Navritam Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Jamuna Ganga Tulasi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Nandini Shrimati Radharani Ki Jai Srimati Lalita, Srimati Vishaka, Shri Ariasta Saki Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Manjari, Shri Rati Manjari, Ari Manjari Vrinda Ki Jai, Purnamasi Devi Ki Jai, Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Shri Gopiswar Mahadev Ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev, Subhadra, Sudarshan Chakraju Ki Jai, Bhakta Vignavinat Sri Nrsimha Bhagavan Ki Jai, Bhakta Raj Shri Palad Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Bhuvana Mangala Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Brihat Pradanga Ki Jai, Shri Braj Mando Parikram Ki Jai, Ujvat Ki Jai, Ananda Gauri Vaishnavini Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Prema Nande, Hari 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 Bol. Okay. So, moderator. Who's our moderator? I can't hear anybody.
I can step in. It looks like Chudandi Maharaj and Shridhar Maharaj are having some kind of discussion.
I think they're having problem with their sound also.
No, they're not having a problem. They're just muted currently.
Aha.
Okay, I'm gonna step in
Do the
briefly.
needful. Jai.
Om Gyana Timarandasya Anjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Jaina Tasme Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Gora Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Vaneti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyamane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Naraniti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Vanchakalpa Turubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaeva Cha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol, Dandavat Pranams to everyone. Today we are very fortunate to be hearing from Sripad Bhaktivedanta Vaikanas Maharaj, Sripad Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaj, and Sripad Bhaktivedanta Shridhar Maharaj. Today we are taking the bus to Bhatrol. We are going to Akrura-ghata, which is the place of the Yajna-patnis. We are going to Mana-sarovara, Vamsivat, Mathavana, Bhadravana, and Bhandiravana. I'm not exactly sure of the order, but I'm going to hand over to our demo, Sripad Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaj, who will tell us what order everyone is speaking in
So actually, we're handing over to Bhaktivedanta Vaikanas Maharaj, who's speaking at the first place. So we've driven across. He'll describe our journey. Go ahead, Maharaj.
Jai, I'm going to do a shortened Mangalacharana because, we can offer obeisance to so much, but timing. So, Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuramitanjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantam Anupeta Apeta Krityam Rapayano Virahakatara Ajuhava Putreti Tan Maitaya Tadavo Binedus Tam Savabhutam Hridayam Munimanatosmi Bhaktya-vihina parada lakshai kiptashta kamari tarangamadye kripamai tvam sharanam papanna brinde namaste charanarvindam tavevasmi najivami tvaya vina iti vigyaya radhe tvam nayanam charanandike vancha kapaturubhascha kripa sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, beginning our parikram under the guidance of our beloved gurus, we offer our obeisances to Sri Guru Pada Padmaniti Leda Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pad Asto Tarasat Sri Simad Abhaya Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Mahashula Prabhupada and Sri Guru Pada Padmaniti Leda Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pad Asto Tarasat Sri Simad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj and all of our exalted Rupanuga Guru Varga, praying for their mercy, their blessings, their inspiration, and to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So generally, this is a special kind of parikram where, like the gopis, they sometimes will go from one distant place to another, but Vrindavan expands and shrinks to accommodate that. So that will be the case today. And we're not going on any bus. We don't need buses. In fact, generally on this day, we walk from Gopinath Bhavan or Rup Sanatan, and we walk all the way up the road, through the bus station and past ISKCON on the main road until we get to Akrura-ghata and then to the place of the Yajna-patnis, the Mathura Ramanis, the wives of the Brahmanas. So generally we begin the parikram at Akrura-ghata, and then we go to the next place. Right? I think that's how we do it. Anyway, that's how we'll do it today. Because of the ascension of the nature of the Harikatha. But before we start, just 2 minutes on Narada Kund, which we were supposed to do yesterday. And that very beautiful place. Let's go to Govardhan, and we're in our mud, and we turn left up towards Mana-sarovara, and there are a number of places we go to. Narada Kund is a place where Narada had heard about the glories of the gopis' love for Krishna, this extraordinary gopi bhav from Vrindadevi, who was a guru to all of us, and being inspired in that way and receiving the Gopal mantra from Lord Brahma, he began to chant that mantra and meditate with a deep desire to become qualified to serve as a gopi. And he did this apparently for many yugas. Finally, Purnamasi came to him and blessed him, took him to Kusum Sarovar, which is right there. Now everything's, kind of fences and blocked off, but it used to be all open and together. And she dipped him in, and he received a beautiful gopi body, and we know that body as Naradi Gopi. And you say, what? How is this? That I thought our Sayabhav was fixed. But certain personalities, Gurudev said, are so greedy for seva that they may have multiple forms. We have the opportunity to actually have a form in Mahaprabhu Leela and Krishna Leela. And certain personalities like Narada, his original form is actually the gopi form, right? And the others are expanded from that because the gopi form is complete in all the moods of service. And I've heard from Vaishnavas that also Madhu Mangal, who has the same nature as Narad, is also expanded from him. And then, of course, Narad Muni that we know, who travels around all the universes teaching bhakti, one of our principal gurus. So that Narada Kund, we may hear about those other pastime places. So Akrura-ghata. This is a very important pastime, and there's so much. Generally, when we hear about Akrura, sometimes we hear about him on multiple places, because when he first enters to Vrindavan, he sees this place, one of the Charan Pahatis, with all of Krishna's footprints, and he offers extraordinary prayers. Actually, there's 3 chapters where he's offering beautiful, beautiful prayers. His prayers are mixed with Aishwarya because his mood, he's a Jnani Bhakta in Dasiras. He knows Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he has a relationship with him in this Leela as uncle. What kind of uncle, I'm not sure, because in Vedic families, the relationships are expanded, right? You can have cousin brothers that go 4 or 5 different directions from brothers and sisters, etc. But he's very close. He has great prem. But he's sent by Kamsa to bring him to Mathura. Kamsa's intention is to bring him to the sacrificial arena, the bow sacrifice, and then the wrestling arena, and then have him killed. And Akrura knows this. And yet he takes the order of Kamsa to do this. But he says, and he knows in his heart, that Krishna will not fault him for this, because Krishna will know that in his heart he has deep love, and that he also knows Krishna as the Supreme Lord is in control of all of this Leela, right? So he goes to Vrindavan, beautiful prayers. They receive him so wonderfully. And then he has to take Krishna and Balaram, and at that point, Nanda and all the cowherd men, they also want to go. They're not thinking with dread that Krishna may not come back. They think, okay, we'll go, and then we'll come back. But the gopis, on the other hand, they can't bear the idea, nor could Mother Jashoda, thinking that Krishna would leave for even a moment. And there's a very painful scene where the gopis, they anticipate, they say, what will happen? Oh, they say they're just going for a few days, but what happens when he goes to Mathura? We know Krishna's nature. All the beautiful, qualified ladies of Mathura, so beautiful, so finely dressed, Krishna will become attracted to them and he'll never come back. So they become so worried and they begin to cry. And now, for the first time in public, they are shamelessly showing their love and their direct devotion to Krishna as his beloveds. And they cry out, they sing, they try to block the chariot. Krishna tries to console them, but he has to go. And Akrura artfully manages to get around them all, and off they go. And then just at the border of Vrindavan and Mathura, the place that we know as Akrura-ghata, Akrura stops to do his ablutions, to bathe in the Jamuna. And Krishna and Balaram stay on the chariot while he goes in. And he goes into the sacred waters of the Jamuna and dips himself down to purify himself and then to rise up and chant his mantras. And to his surprise, he sees Krishna and Balaram right before him. And wait, I just left them on the chariot. He turns around and they're still on the chariot. And he looks, and there they are. And it's astonishing to him. And he said, what am I seeing? And he comes out, and then he goes back in again. And this time he sees Anantadev, that extraordinary form of the Lord, expansion of the Lord, so opulent. His own Ishtadev, actually, because he's a worshiper of Krishna more in opulence, in the Dwarka form. And he doesn't know what to make of it, except that the Lord has so many forms, and he's offering prayers which are very, very technical prayers. I mean, we don't have time to read them all. You can read these chapters where he gives, they're beautiful. And then he also slips in an acknowledgement and recognition of Krishna's Leela in Vrindavan with the gopis, which he's actually not privy to in a deep sense But even living in Mathura, he is aware of it. And sometimes some devotees have asked Gurudev, well, how could somebody in Dasiras know this? And, because he's Jnani Bhakta, and Gurudev would say, well, you know about it, and you're not even self-realized. So what to speak of somebody like Akrura, who's living right next door and who's a self-realized soul? But then the question is, but can he speak about this? Wouldn't it be Rasa Bas? But actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says he didn't directly speak about it. He's meditating in his own mind on this relationship, and so it's not Rasa Bas. It would be Rasa Bas, incompatible mellow, because of his sthai bhav, if he were trying to serve and mingle in that connection. But he's acknowledging it and worshiping it, which is fine, which is fine. Sanat Kumar wrote beautiful prayers to Srimati Radhika, even though his sthai bhav is somewhat between Shanta and Dasiras, same conception. So then the question, then they get on the chariot and off they go into Mathura. And then the next question arises, well, who's going to Mathura? Right? Krishna's going to Mathura, Baladev goes to Mathura. They seem to be the same personalities. They have the Abhiman. They themselves have the Abhiman that they're the same personalities. But they are expansions of the original Krishna Balaram who never leave Vrindavan. Vrindavana parityagya napadam ekagachati. Then they never take one step out of Vrindavan. You may remember when Rupa Goswami is traveling to Jagannath Puri to meet with Mahaprabhu, he's in the middle of writing his Vidagdha Madhav, which is a collection of stories about Krishna's Leela, both in Vrindavan and in Mathura and Dwarka. And before he gets to Puri, he stops at Satyabhampura. And that night, when he's resting, he has a dream that Satyabhama Devi comes to him and says, "Oh, Rupa, write a separate drama about me in Dwarka." Satyabhama is a special expansion of Srimati Radhika to serve Krishna in his expansion in Dwarka. And she instructs him to divide the pastimes, right? And Rupa Goswami is amazed. And when he gets to Puri, it's a bit of a long story, but to make it short, Mahaprabhu tells him the same thing. Write separate dramas about Krishna in Vrindavan and Krishna in Dwarka, because the Krishna in Vrindavan never leaves Vrindavan. And the Krishna in Dwarka is a different personality, just as we understand from Krishna's birth, from Devaki and Vasudeva. That baby that's taken to Vrindavan merges into the original Krishna. They are, in one sense, by tattva, they're all the same, but by rasa, they're not. Right? That the Vrindavan Krishna is very different, so he stays in Vrindavan. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in another place, how could Krishna ever leave Vrindavan? Because the Gaudiya Vaishnava understanding is that anybody, even in this world, where do we want to be? We want to be in the place where there's the most love, right? You want to be where there's love. You don't want to go to a place where people don't like you or people hate you. They're always criticizing you, and or even not that, they just don't have as much love. You want to be in that place where there's the most love. And Krishna, where does that come from? That comes from Krishna. And the most love, as we know and as we've heard over and over in so many ways, is reposed in Vrindavan. And ultimately, out of all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, it's reposed in the person of Srimati Radharani, right? So Krishna will never leave there. And in so many ways, he has explained that to the gopis later in Kurukshetra. He tells them the same thing. He sends messages by Uddhava, and that he doesn't leave. And sometimes he'll appear to them as Spurti, but it's actually himself, right? So this is one of the very important points of this pastime with Akrura. And Akrura knew that even though it's a dicey role that he has to take Krishna apparently to be killed by Kamsa. He knows that Kamsa can't kill him. And he knows that Krishna will not hold it against him because he has such love. And he's feeling very grateful that Krishna arranged this pastime, that he got to be with him, roll in the dust of his footprints, and then be received so beautifully by the two of them in their home. Very sweet pastime. You can read these 3 chapters, very extraordinary. So then nearby, because this is also the same border place, is the place where Krishna was with his cowherd boyfriends one day. Can't hear me? Chaitanya Maharaj seems to be having trouble. How come Chaitanya Maharaj is big and I'm small? I'm supposed to be doing the talking here, and I'm a little teeny in the upper corner here, and Chaitanya Maharaj is very big.
That's a technical thing, Maharaj, and how Zoom displays it. But for everyone else, you're big and you're doing the
Oh,
talking.
well, that's good then. I get to see Chaitanya Maharaj. He's my inspiration. I listen to him every day, I hear his voice on his audio books every day. I was just curious. I don't really care. Probably better that I'm kind of scrunched up in the corner. Any case, this is a really amazing pastime. And actually, in terms of chronology, it happens just after the pastime of the young gopis going for the month for the Katyani Vrat to ask for Krishna as their husband, right? Then in that same summer, after that, Krishna and his cowherd boyfriends are wandering here and there, and Krishna deliberately takes them to this other place nearby where Akrura was, or will be, because that's going to be later in the future. And by the arrangement, maybe it was a little unexpected, but for some reason, their lunch was sent to another place. So they're all very hungry, right? No lunch. And so they tell Krishna, oh, we're beset by the demon of hunger. What do we do? And it appears like they're asking Krishna to satisfy their desires, but they're thinking, well, if we're hungry, then Krishna and Balaram must be hungry. We'll ask on our behalf, and hopefully he can make arrangements so that all can eat, right? So Krishna smiles, and this is all his own arrangement, because he knows nearby there's a yajna being performed by these mature brahmanas, and he knows their wives are great, great devotees, right? And so he says, well, nearby there's a sacrifice being performed by these brahmanas. Go to that place and ask them for food, because whenever you do a yajna, especially then, there's so much opulence, there would be all kinds of very nice food preparations made, to be offered to the Lord. He said, beg that. And so they go. And he says, when you go, ask on behalf of of my brother Balaram, because he's a Kshatriya. And so they may respect that. Me, I'm a cowherd boy. They may not be so inclined because they're high-class brahmanas, but as a Kshatriya, they may be more inclined. So they go and they ask, and the brahmanas are very neglectful of them. If you've ever seen the way that high-class brahmanas treat people they consider inferior, it's very amazing. I've had that experience many times when we traveled in South India here and there. Sometimes we try to go to a temple, and they wouldn't let us in, and they're very dismissive of us, like we're just insignificant people, unworthy, unqualified. And so the brahmanas, when they saw these cowherd boys, who are they? We're the high-class brahmanas. And so they gave some excuse, oh, it's not a proper time. But the cowherd boys, they're very intelligent, and they understood all the rules of sacrifice. They said, well, the animal's already been sacrificed. Now it's okay. You can offer the food. But still, they just neglected them, and they would not even respond to them after that. So the cowherd boys went back to Krishna and Balaram, very dejected, unsuccessful, hungry. And Krishna laughed and laughed because he knew what was going to happen. And this was deliberately done to show the contrast. These are supposed to be very educated, high-class brahmanas born in Mathura, right next to Vrindavan, and still filled with so much pride. They did not recognize Krishna for who he was. And so instead, Krishna says, go to their wives. They're at the homes. That's where the food is anyway. Ask them. And so they went back. And the wives, as soon as they heard that, they were overjoyed. Krishna and Balaram are here. The wives had heard of Krishna and Balaram for years now. And their prem, they had taken birth there. In previous lives, they had cultivated their bhakti to such a high degree that just by hearing about Krishna and Balaram, it excited and brought their prem to a very high level. And so immediately they gathered up all the food, and their husbands objected and said, what are you doing? You can't go. And they went anyway, right? Even in the presence of their husbands, they went. And the husbands, of course, were aghast. And in Vedic culture, this is completely, especially for such high-class ladies. But they went to Krishna and Balaram, and they were overjoyed. And when they got there, Krishna was standing there with his brother, and he was twirling a lotus, right? This is a theme. And twirling that lotus and greeting them so nicely, unspoken, twirling the lotus meant, oh, I've grabbed your hearts and I'm twirling them with my hand. And also you've grabbed my heart and it's also twirling. Both of our hearts are like lotuses. And they exchanged beautiful words together, but then Krishna requested them to go back. And they said, we don't want to go back. We can't go back. Our husbands have rejected us. There's no place for us. We have defied the authority, their authority, and nobody in respectable society will ever accept us. But Krishna says, my lovers are cowherd girls, right? You're the wives of Brahmanas. I can't be with you. That's okay. We don't need to be your direct lovers. Just let us be in the forest. We'll serve the gopis ourselves. We'll be like Vana Devis. But we can't go back. We want to be somehow with you, somehow or other serving you in your beautiful cowherd boy form. Right? And Krishna was very inclined to them. Their prema was very high, very developed. But then it's described that his Aishwarya Shakti kicked in. And for a certain reason, he had to tell them, no, you have to go back. Right? It's not that they weren't qualified, but something else. Just like in Krishna's Leela, they didn't get to do Rasa Leela right away. Sometimes there's separation. Everything that's done is to increase and enhance prem more and more. So he said, you have to go back. And he said that if you were to come with me, then this would send the wrong message. It's one thing for me to be with my cowherd girls, but to be with the wives of Brahmanas, this would send a very wrong message to society as a whole. Right? So I can't have that. This will degrade society. They won't be able to understand. But what will our husbands say? He says, don't worry. When you go back, your husbands will respect and honor you. They will not criticize you. They will accept what you have done and they will praise you. And so they went back. The gopis didn't go back. When Krishna gave them the same arguments, basically, they didn't go back. These Brahmanis had to go back. But it's described by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that by going back, that separation increased their prem more and more and more. But something else remarkable happened. They did go back, and their husbands did respect them, and they were transformed in an amazing way. They all of a sudden they had some recognition of Krishna's actual position, and they were very ashamed of their own ignorance and weakness, and they became humble. And they began to serve their wives, and actually they no longer touched their wives. Their wives are now worshipable by them. Their wives, full of this prem, now were pure. Right? But there was one wife who couldn't go. She was checked by her husband, and she had the most love, but she was checked. Isn't that interesting? She couldn't go. And in that absence, her desire and her prem was so strong that she gave up her body. her fire of separation burned her material body to ashes, and she went unseen in her spiritual form to be with Krishna. And he accepted her. And it was very wonderful. She, among all of them, was qualified. But she also went back in order to preserve convention, but she then was able to instruct and bring the others up to her level. And thus all of them became qualified, and they were capable of whatever is going to happen in the next life. They certainly become gopis, right? But it goes to show that persons of that caliber, so close, and yet one more obstacle had to be crossed, but internally they were now qualified and could meet with Krishna, but not quite yet in that lifetime to be in Braj and to be a gopi like that, but still qualified and by that extraordinary pastime. And in every one of these pastimes, there's so many details, finer sentiments in these purports, but we have some limits. But you can go to Gopal Champu, you can go to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries and see so much more than I could convey in this short time and with lack of realization. So we will stop here and move on. And we offer obeisance to our Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, who so beautifully revealed and given us access to these leelas and the explanations of our acharyas. Thank you, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Tarun or Chaitanya Maharaj or Shakti. Let's go.
Maharaj, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. Brilliant. Brilliant. Ecstatic pastime.
Try to keep it, fit it into the.
And Yajna-patnis.
Yeah.
Deeply heartfelt moods there, especially the leaving of Vrindavan. That's very wonderful. We were looking for that picture, but we couldn't find it of Shama. He paints that painting of them leaving. It's very, very beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you,
It's
Mark.
tragic.
Yeah. So now we're going to go forward from here, and we're going to go to Mana-sarovara, basically, and we're going to touch on the place at Vamsivat, the Rasa Stali there at Vamsivat, and our beloved Bhaktivedanta Shuddhadvaiti Maharaj will speak now on Mana-sarovara. Okay, we're all waiting. He's just playing around with his phone.
He's disappeared.
No,
He's a manifest.
he's not a techie, and he's got the tripod upside down. He's just a second. Just be patient for a moment.
Our anxiety is increasing our urgency and
Sound up
desire to
and you're
hear.
speaking. He's closed the phone in his nervousness.
Yeah, he's not on the Zoom anymore.
No, he's not on the Zoom anymore. So then perhaps I should just begin speaking on the next places. Oh, he's getting it. He's getting it.
While he's getting it, someone asked a question for Vaikanas Maharaj in the chat. Ramananda Prabhu. I can read it out. Is Krishna sending the Yajna-patnis back home because he didn't want to set that example in society, an external reason? Because when he sends them back home, their husbands worship them. He could have got the rest of the world to worship them too, right? Like we do. Does that make sense as a question?
Actually, okay, yes. It was to set an example in society, right? That's part of, am I on? That's part of it, and he says that, right? And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur confirms that. But also, He had to send them back because this Leela in Braj with the gopis is confidential and exclusive to Braj. So it can't cross over into Mathura, right? So the Brahmanis, they can't come from Mathura and come into the forest and dance and do all of that. That would be a mixture, right? Of the it'd be like rasabas. It'd be inappropriate. Krishna has a distinct Leela between, that which is different in Mathura. Remember when they go to the when he enters the arena of the wrestling arena, the young ladies of Mathura, they glorify the gopis and sometimes and say about their much higher love, and as do the queens when in Dwarka, when Narada comes and glorifies them in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and Rohini describes the glory of the gopis. But the point is, and Gurudev has mentioned this many times, and the same thing in Kurukshetra, there's Krishna's Leela in Mathura and in Dwarka. It's not the same as Braj. Braj is confidential. There's no flute. There's no peacock feather. There's no special forest of Vrindavan. Vrindavan is the exclusive abode where this mood of Madhurya can be expressed purely and properly. You can't cross over. Either you're in Braj or you're not in Braj. And they were not in Braj. They could go internally in their mind. They could meditate. They could see Krishna now. They're purified. But as a Leela, it would not be possible. Right? Not be possible. They have to take another birth.
Gurudev say that not even a mosquito goes between Vrindavan and Mathura.
Right. Even remember the fruit seller? The fruit seller had heard about Krishna, and she wanted to, so she went and she wanted to see him. And it took her many, many days. And finally, when she decided, I'll just give up my life if I can't see him, finally he comes out. But she doesn't go back to Mathura. She goes to the bank of the river, sees her basket filled with jewels. What's the use of this? He's cheated me, throws them in. And then Gurudev said, what happened to her? Nobody knows. She didn't go back to Mathura. Did she give up her life? What? But she realized, if I want to be with Krishna, I can't be a Mathura Vasi also. I want to be with Krishna in this Vatsalya mood, right? It's a one way. But Siddhanta Saraswati, and it's also one way for us. He said when we go to Parikram, we should get a one-way ticket. Come and never leave. Right? So, right. You can't go. I hope that answers it. Okay. Jai Ramananda Haribol. I stayed in Ramananda's house one time in Holland. He had this funny apartment. Nice. Haribol, Haribol.
Okay, I believe that Shripad Siddharth Maharaj has sorted out his Zoom.
Yes, I'm pretty useless with the phones, but it's okay, man. So after this beautiful visit to Bhatrol and Akrura-ghata, now we're going to the place of Mana-sarovara across the Jamuna. So when Srimati Radhika saw Krishna in the rasa dance, like we mentioned the other day, treating the gopis exactly like he was treating her, then Srimati Radhika became sulky and she went into Manini Radha. This beautiful painting of Srimati Shamrani was painted Manini Radha. And she crossed the Jamuna alone. At that time, I don't know if there was a bridge or something. I mean, we have a pontoon bridge up higher above Keshigat, but somehow she crossed the Jamuna alone and then she went into this beautiful place, Mana-sarovara. And Gurudev used to take us, if you remember, it is full of still some beautiful kunjas, and Gurudev would take us under those trees and make us sit in that dust. And then Gurudev would go so emotional in those places because this is surcharged with so much bhav. And I would fill him up to the brim. He would be so overwhelmed by emotion. Because those trees, he said, were witness of those pastimes. And he would make us bow down to all those trees and embrace them and pray that one day those pastimes will manifest in our heart. So Krishna there assured Srimati Radhika that no, he was guilty and he would never do that again. No, he assured her. But even before Krishna arrived in her separation, she started to cry. She cried a lake of tears. Her tears became this beautiful Mana-sarovara, which is quite actually a big lake. Now, when you go around circumambulating, in the times of Gurudev, we couldn't do that, but after that, it's been renovated very beautifully. You can go around. It takes quite a while to go around. There's this beautiful kund there, and we can bathe in, thinking that, oh, I'm bathing in the tears of separation mood of Srimati Radhika. This is the most wonderful place. Now, we can also go by foot from there, from Vrindavan, crossing the bridge and then walking through the fields. It's an enchanting place. And at that time, this was one of the places of Krishna's pasturing grounds. It's full of cows. Many times we see these nilgais, those wild deers, half cow, half deer, blue. Nilgai means blue cow, actually. Practically every time we go there, we see some grazing around there, and they come and there's many peacocks and so many birds. The place is enchanting, and then you can be there, meditating. I like to go, on foot and just, spend, big time there, just chanting under those trees. Now they have blocked the passage; we cannot even go under, as we did with Gurudev. Everything is always evolving in Braj. First they restricted, the place became smaller. Then they damn the whole thing, and but still, you can go there and feel so much, bhav there, Srimati Radhika's mood. And for us aspiring, sadhakas, aspiring to Raganuga, Srila Gurudev would say that we don't really practice Vedic Bhakti purely like they do in the Madhvas, the Tattvavadis or the Ramanujas. We practice Vedic with Raganuga Pravriti, means aspiration to qualify for Raganuga. So much so that Gurudev said, actually, what we practice is like the beginning of Raganuga Bhakti. The premises, the first premises, like we said, the foothills of the Himalaya of Raganuga Bhakti, which is like the real deal. Srila Prabhupada, my Gurudev, used to say Raganuga Bhakti is pure Bhakti. He would use those terms interchangeably. Pure Bhakti means Raganuga Bhakti Bhakti means pure Bhakti. And until that, we practice. If we have not qualified from the beginning to enter directly into Raganuga Bhakti because of samskara of previous births, then we have to go through the process of Vedic Bhakti. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, one who is fixed like a rock in the practice of Vedic Bhakti, the holy name gives him the jewel of independence from all those rules. And he allows him to Raganuga Pravesh, to enter into Raganuga. So there's two cases. Either you practice in the last life, and then when you come to the path of Bhakti, you make leaps and bounds, and very quickly you come to Raganuga Bhakti. Or if that doesn't happen, then it means you have to follow all the rules and regulations of Vedi and gradually associating with Rasik Vaishnavas like our Gurudev, and depending also on previous samskaras, we may be able in this life to enter. Srila Gurudev will always say, I'm praying to Krishna for all of you to come at least to Nishta or Ruchi in this life. Some people think, oh, there's so many Madhyamadikaris, but Gurudev would say, I'm praying that in this life you can come up to that. So that means it's not that cheap. And we can see even after so many years of practice and sadhana, intense, the best we can still, to be completely fixed. This is something not cheap. The Bhagavatam says, Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Bhakti becomes established in the heart. Srila Prabhupada translates as an irrevocable fact. And from that point on, unless you make Vaishnava para to a great Vaishnava, you don't fall. And from there, you proceed on to Ruchi. And then Ruchi is, at that time, you can really say the verse of Shikshasakam, Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim. Why? Because you have such taste that really At that time, those things become insignificant. Before that, we pay lip service, we pray, we recite Shikshastakam with aspiration. When you're on the Ruchi platform, that's there. You can really say it. It's like we also recite Trinadapi Sunichana. Oh, one should chant the holy name in a humble state of mind. But we try to be humble. Srila Shamar says we have all a mountain of pride in our heart. And we have to meditate, like Gurudev told us, on the second verse of Shikshastakam. That although the process is so easy, no rules and regulation about chanting, still I am so unfortunate because of offenses, I have no taste, nanuraga. Sridhar says, if you meditate on that verse, it will gradually pull you towards Nishta and destroy the mountain of your pride. So this is Mana-sarovara, very beautiful place. I remember every time Gurudev took us there, that was so enchanting. And Gurudev's there. I mean, his mood was out of this world, like he is out of this world. Then after that, we go into Bhandiravana, and in Bhandiravana, Sridhamji Maharaj will speak all the delicious lilas which happened there. And if you remember, just outside of Bhandiravana, as we come out of the village, as we entered and left the buses, there's a sandy path going through the fields and going to a very little hamlet. It's not even a hamlet, it's just actually one small courtyard. And there is this big tree, Vamsivat it's also called. It's called actually Rasastali Vamsivat, because there also there was Ras Lila between Krishna and the gopis. And when we enter there, it's very beautiful, very quiet, just a few buildings, like just a courtyard. You enter a courtyard and all around is just bushes, kunjas, trees, full of animals, again, birds. Sometimes you see a deer, very, very nice. And then we used to walk there, I remember singing through the fields up to there. And in that place, under that tree, there is some shrine and there is a temple, little temple of Sridham. I'm right, Sridham, yes. Sridham Bhaya. When Krishna left to Mathura, Sridham just could not tolerate the separation. So he left and he went there waiting for Krishna. And if I remember properly, he waited until Mahaprabhu came. He waited all that time. So there's a beautiful temple of a beautiful golden deity of Sridham there. And we can pray that, when will I develop some mood of separation from the Lord, that I will be overwhelmed, not be able to tolerate and remain with others, but just go in seclusion and just pray and chant and cry, because this is our path. Vrindavan Das Thakur defines what is Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga Dhana, Bhakti Yoga, Hey Krishna, Shravana, Smarana Krandana. What is these great words of Bhakti Yoga? To remember Krishna while crying. This is our process. Crying. Srila Govinda used to say, unless you cry, you will not get. Because those who have received the mercy, they cried. No. He said, I've opened a crying school in Bhubaneswar. You have to learn how to cry for Krishna. The whole path is bhajan in separation. The whole mood of Srimati Radhika and gopis is what? It's not Milan, it's Viraha. They always, even in Milan, even when they meet, they feel separation. Separation, like they say in English, makes the heart grow fonder. So in separation, you go deeper and deeper into feelings of deeper appreciation for the person. So in this beautiful place, Krishna would come because he also would graze his cows around. And in the evening, he would climb the banyan tree and he would call all the different cows by group, and he would count them on a jewel necklace, like a jewel mala, by groups. We have to remember Nanda Maharaj has 9,900,000 cows. That's not just a big herd. Even when you go to New Zealand, you have the biggest herd, like 2,000 cows. But what is 2,000 cows? 900,000. Even 2,000 cows is like small time. A small farmer in Braj at that time. And Sridham would tease Krishna, my father has more cows than your father. When they were wrestling, he said, what kind of a big man are you? No, Tumiyami Sama. No, the cowherd boys are not at all impressed by Krishna, whatever Krishna does. Even if we go back to the Lila of going to Mathura, when they came out, Krishna came down from the chariot with Balaram. And then meanwhile, by the other road, Nanda Maharaj came with the cowherd boys to attend the arena, the sacrifice, the festival. And when Krishna jumped down from the chariot, and he met with his friends, he said, I'm going to kill Uncle Kamsa. What? You're going to kill this giant demon? How are you going to do? And Krishna manifested his Dirga Vishnu form. If you remember, Gurudev would take us just next to the temple of Mathura Devi, a little further on the left, the old temple of Dirga Vishnu. Krishna manifested some kind of a universal form, not that big, but with so many arms and gigantic. And the boys, that didn't evaporate for anything, their mood of friendship with Krishna. They just clap and say, wow, how did you do that? Your Guruji, Bhaguru Rishi taught you a trick and you teach us also the same trick? They were clapping and said, wow, great. Like mate, one. So, whereas Arjuna, although he was with Krishna as a friend, in the Bhagavad Gita at the beginning, if you remember, the charioteer has to, it's even a ritual. He has to put his hands for the warrior to climb on the chariot. It has a special name, Vrati, something like, I forgot the name. So Krishna was putting in his hands and Arjuna walking on Krishna's hand to climb on the chariot, right? They were so close, so friends, Krishna driving the chariot and Arjuna driving and indicating with his feet on Krishna's shoulders, go right or go left. That's how intimate they were. But when Krishna showed the universal form, all that intimacy just evaporated. Arjuna folded his hand and he said, oh my Lord, please forgive me. If out of ignorance or out of love, I've called you my friend. I lied on the bed with you. I ate with you. Please forgive any offense. And he started to offer stutis. Compare that with the mood of the cowherd boys. There's also Arjuna Saka. And some people say that Krishna was so fond of Arjuna because he reminded him of his Arjuna Saka of his childhood in Vrindavan. But Arjuna's mood completely changed when he saw Krishna's opulence. Where the cowherd boys, nothing. Oh, what a trick. Teach us how to do it. What mantra did your guru teach you? So this is the speciality of Braj. This Lokik Sat Bandhuvat, Gurudev taught us this word. No formality whatsoever. And certainly there must be a place, I was mentioning the other day, where the Supreme Lord, to relish love in its most intimate form without any formality, he must forget that himself is the Lord and nobody also knows that he's the Lord. The gopis don't worship Krishna because he's God. Nobody in Vrindavan. They worship him because he's their dear friend, dearmost friends. He's the apple of their eyes. He's the love of their life. They do everything out of pure love for him, not because he's God and he's going to give them liberation or whatever desire they may have. They don't have any desires separately from Krishna. They don't think that they have an existence separate from him. Like Sridhar Maharaj said, we have a problem. We have what he calls provincial interest. Like in a country, like India, you have so many states, and each state is trying to pull towards him the resources of the government. So this is our problem. And he would say everything for the center. This is the mood of Braj, Brajaras, Brajabhav. Everyone just wants to serve the center, which is Krishna. There's no other separate center. I remember the head of a monastery, igumen of an Orthodox monastery, he was writing, our problem, our disease, that we prefer ourselves to God. And I found this is worded in such an excellent way. Our disease that we prefer ourselves to God. Means our interest, we always put it in front. And Sridhar Maharaj says, we have to go beyond what he called calculative devotion, where when we serve, we always calculate what's in for me. So it's like conditional bhakti. And the characteristic of Braj, and especially the chorus boys and the chorus girls, not towards Krishna, that there's no such idea of a separate interest. They don't have another interest. They don't think that they live independently for something else than to please Krishna. And this is like the goal that which are given to us. This is the only thing why you live. Your existence is only to please him. Sridhar Maharaj, we were celebrating yesterday, we used to say, if you will want to enter the spiritual world, the land of dedication, you have to accept to become the slave of the slave. He said, Das doesn't mean anything else except slave. Like really full on, false ego. No, me a slave. No, not only a slave. If you want to go there, you have to be the slave of the slave. You have to be ready to humility with what? Humility means I have no qualification whatsoever. I'm nobody special. I'm just insignificant. And I'm only meant for the service of Krishna. Saraswati Thakur says, real humility means that I have no desire for sense gratification because I know everything belongs to him. Nothing belongs to me. I have no right to anything in this world. It all belongs to him. And remember, Prabhupada used to call it the peace formula. To accept Krishna is a bhakta, the enjoyer. Krishna is a proprietor and is the best friend of everyone. The peace formula. When we apply that, then we are in peace. So this is a mood of Braj. They have no conception of any particular interest or desire for themselves. They all only want Krishna's interest. They're not interested. The cowherd boys, it says Subhal. Even in dream, he cannot let go of Krishna's hand. Even in dream, he cannot think. No, they're so attached to him. It's the life of their life. What to speak of the gopis who have even more love than them from the point of view of rasa vichar, from the point of view of rasa. Vatsalya contains more than Sakya, but Madhurya even more. It includes everything. So gopis also, they've done the impossible. That's why Krishna says, I can't repay you. I'm sorry. No, naparayeham. I'm not able, I don't have the currency to pay you. Your love is ekanishta, exclusively pointed to me. My love is bahunishta. My love is divided into so many. No. But their love is exclusively pointed towards him. So just a few considerations coming to mind when we speak about those amazing places to which our Gurudev would take us. Thank
you, Maharaj. Is Tarun going to say something?
No, I'm not
Tarunji?
the MC. You're the MC.
Tarun?
Haribol, I was told at the start of this program that I was not moderating and that I'm just meant to be here in the background.
Oh, but then you told us that you were moderating. So...
Well, Yashadari is here now, so, I don't have anything. I don't need to do or say anything else.
Okay. I just want to thank Shuddhadwaiti Maharaj for very, very sweet katha in Mana-sarovara. This was very beautiful. And he took us to Vamsivat. So now I'm going to say something about Bhandiravana and Bhadravat and Manvan. So I'll just begin. Gurave Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. I'm offering my Dandavat pranams to my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions of times unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Varg, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vansha kalpa tarupyascha, kripa sindhuvevacha, patitanam pavnivyo, Vaishnavevyo namaha. So just with your patience for a moment, because yesterday we actually had a schedule which we didn't quite fulfill. And Bhaktivedanta Vaikanas Maharaj has mentioned something of Narad Kund, where yesterday we were going to visit. So I'm just going to very briefly, in a couple of moments, mention the 4 little places on the way to Narad Kund in Govardhan. So just for a moment, come back across the Jamuna and come up to Govardhan just for a moment. And from our Giridhari Gaudiya Math, directly opposite, there's a kund called Kilol Kund. So we visit Kilol Kund, where there were many pastimes between Radha and Krishna there. Sportive pastimes, very beautiful pastimes. And then briefly we walk up to another place called Gvala Pokor. And in Gvala Pokor, the Sakas, they rested here. There's pastimes with the Sakas. These are all little places on the way to Kusum Sarovar from our Giriraj Mat, our Giridhari Mat in Govardhan. And then after Gvala Pokor, we come to Shyama Kirti. And here, this is where Krishna smeared his body with the mud of the Kund. And he became completely more blackish. And then he put on blackish cloth and nobody could recognize him. So this is, in just a 2-second offering, this is the pastime that took place here. Very beautiful pastime, full of festivity, etc. And then we come to Ratna Simhasan, which is just before Kusum Sarovar. And here, the pastime of the Sakas and the Sakis playing holy together. And this is when the Sankachuda demon came to try and hijack the gopis. And Krishna and Balaram, they chased him. And then Balaram went back to protect the gopis, and Krishna chased Sankachuda, knocked him out, killed him, knocked his head off, and took the jewel from his forehead, a brilliant jewel. And he gives that jewel to Baladev, who gives it to Madhumangal, who gives it to Lalita Saki, who gives it to Sri Radhika. So this is the pastime of Sankachuda. Just in a couple of minutes, I'm just saying these, just to reorient ourselves from yesterday, so that we our parikrama is complete. So we didn't miss these places yesterday. So if you remember these places, no, this is not the Shaman Takajul. The Shaman Takajul comes from Suryadev. That's different, I think. Anyway, I have to check that. Balabhadra was asking this question. So now, on our today's journey, as Vaikanis Maharaj said, we come through Bhatrol, and then we've driven around on the buses across the Jamuna, and we've come to Mana-sarovara, where Pujapad Shudwati Maharaj has already described. So now we're on the other side of the Jamuna, on the eastern side. And this is traditionally, as we've said many times, Baladev's country. Dauji is there, the beautiful deity of Dauji we will visit one day. And in the northern part of these 5 forests on the eastern bank is Bhadravana, then, oh, it was the Shaman Takajul. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I wasn't sure about that. Okay, because it manifests also from Suryadev in Dwarka. So yes. Yes, okay. Okay. So we have Bhadravana in the north, and then we have Bhandiravana, and then we have Belvan, and then we have Lohavan and Mahavan, these 5 forests. So now we've come to Bhadravana. This is such an ecstatic place. It's so beautiful. There are huge, huge vat trees, banyan trees, many, many of these banyan trees, very big, very gracious, beautiful entities residing here, and filled with parrots, peacocks, does, deers, beautiful wildlife is there. It's a very rural atmosphere. It's very pleasing to the consciousness instantly to come to this place. It's very tranquil. There's deep sounds of nature all around resonating. It's absolutely divine atmosphere we've come to. And Bhadravana is traditionally describing the glories of Balaram, again, as I've said. And this is where the cowherd boys would graze their cows. And right next door to Bhadravana is Bhandiravana. They sound similar, but there's a difference. Bhadravana and Bhandiravana. So in Bhandiravana, is an immense vata tree, banyan tree, huge tree right in the center. And we come here and we begin to circumambulate it. If all of you remember on the Parikrama with Srila Gurudev, we would be walking around this very, very large banyan tree. And we can imagine 5,000 years ago, it was even bigger and giving beautiful shade to the thousands and thousands of cows that Shuddhavati Maharaj was describing. Yes, Sridham, he has 11 lakh cows. Krishna only has 9 lakh cows. So we can imagine 20 lakh cows grazing. So it's an enormous, we can't imagine, but we can get some mood of this. And the cowherd boys frolicking around, playing, etc. So traditionally in Bhandiravat, the young boys, they would wrestle with each other and they would make a little arena, and they relished this pastime of wrestling. But then one day the gopis, they were close by just by chance. They happened to be close by. They're always actually just in the background in Krishna's pastimes. And Lalita sent a message with one Saki that Krishna should challenge Radharani to a wrestling match. They're actually thinking that Seth's so strong and powerful in their wrestling, but let's see how they compete with the gopis themselves. So Krishna, of course, has to accept in a mood of Viraras. He has to accept this mood, this challenge from Radhika to wrestle with her. So they extend the circle, and Radharani is sitting in her corner. She's dressed in pantaloons. She has a wrestler's dress on. And the Lalita, Vishaka, Champakalata, Tungavidya, they're massaging her, preparing her, etc. Krishna's in his corner. Sridham, Saka, Subal, Stoga, Krishna, Arjun, they're all fanning him and preparing him for the wrestling. And then Krishna struts out very confidently. Radharani struts out, and one glance from Radhika, immediately Krishna is knocked out. Immediately. Lalita quickly jumps in, raises Radharani's hand. Yes, you are the victor. You are the winner. Immediately. And all the Sakas, they're lamenting. They got their heads in their hands and they're lamenting. And all the Sakis are cheering, yes, Jai Radhe, Jai. And Krishna is still on the ground. Krishna can't be revived because Radhika looks so beautiful. Radhika, that power emanating ultimately from Krishna, it's like the effulgence of the sun itself is defeating the sun planet. In that sense, that Shakti has defeated the origin of Shakti completely. And so this wrestling match is described, and my Gurudev would describe this wrestling match with such animation. He would be so happy. Any time that Sri Radhika is the victor, like yesterday we heard these beautiful pastimes describing the superiority of Sri Radhika by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, explaining how all our acharyas, especially Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Srila Gokishore Das Babaji, all proclaiming Radhika's supremacy in every single way. For the Sadhkas, for the Gaudiyas, Radhika is our complete Ishtadev. So this is one pastime that takes place here in Bhandiravan. Also in Bhandiravan, there's a very beautiful, around this beautiful vat tree, this banyan tree where we're circumambulating, my Gurudev has built a platform, a cement platform to commemorate the Gandhava marriage there, the ceremony. Radha and Krishna actually are married in this Leela. So there's a beautiful pastime describing how this marriage takes place. One day when Krishna is very small and he's been taken out by Nanda Baba, Krishna is about 2 or 3 years old. He's in the arms of Nanda Baba. Nanda Baba has his chadar across him because the sky is overcast and they're in this deep forest of Bhandiravan. And all of a sudden the sky becomes very, very black and very threatening, looking like a huge, huge thunderstorm. Actually, in Brajya and the same in Navadvip, the thunderstorms are really dramatic. They're absolutely black, the sky, and the thunder is so loud, it crack your eardrums practically. So this devastating storm was coming up on the horizon. Nanda Baba, he became somewhat anxious. He's carrying Kishore Krishna, Balya Krishna, under his arm, and he's concerned for his welfare. And all of a sudden, as if out of nowhere, this young Kishori, who's actually Shri Radhika, she has manifested her Kishori form for this pastime, and she extends her arms to Nanda Baba to take baby Krishna, Balya Krishna, with her. And Nanda Baba, he has some instant trust in this Kishori, and he just gives Kanaya Krishna to Radhika, and Radhika takes him. And then together, she carries him a little way, and then when they're a distance from Nanda Baba, then suddenly Krishna manifests his teenage form, and Sri Radhika, her teenage form, her Kishori form. And then they walk deep into the forest, and they come to this very tree, this very Vat tree, this beautiful, beautiful, huge tree. And there, suddenly, Lord Brahma, Chaturmukh Brahma, he manifests, and Lalita Saki, and all the Astasakis, Vishaka, Champakalata, Chitra, Tungavidya, they all manifest there. And they all begin chanting wedding songs and mantras. And Lord Brahma, he chants all the Vedic mantras to for marriage. And he marries Radha and Krishna at this spot. They exchange garlands. So it's a Paka Brahman marriage. It's a Paka marriage that takes place. Tie their cloths together and exchange their garlands and sing all the required mantras, etc. Tungavidya in particular is the artist of all these Vedic mantras. So Radha and Krishna are married here in Gandharva style. So there's no immorality, we can say, in the future pastimes, because actually Krishna is eternally part of Radha, and Krishna are one. Radha Krishna Pranaya Rikritya Hladini Shakti Asmat Ekatmana. They are one. So Radha and Krishna are married here. And my Gurudev made a very beautiful, attractive memorial plaque to commemorate this Gandharva marriage, just so it's impressed within our minds that yes, Radha and Krishna did in fact perform this Gandharva marriage here at this very place in Bhandiravana. So also in Bhandiravana, the boys would take their picnic here with Krishna. They would all sit down. Mother Yashoda would send all the prasadam to the forest with so many gopas and gopis, and they would all sit down and take their prasadam. And it would be as if Krishna was sitting in the center of all of them. And all of them felt that they were sitting directly opposite Krishna. There's no Aishwarya in Braj, as we've heard so many times. Nevertheless, for Nara Leela, Krishna will manifest different aspects like this. He will sit in the midst of hundreds of thousands of gopas, and they will all be thinking that they're right next to him. This is a heart-moving mood that Krishna has with all of them. Krishna loves his sakhas more than his own life air, practically. He's so much affectionate to all his sakhas. And he has this very beautiful exchange with them while they're taking their picnics. And then there's one particular time when they're all engrossed in their taking their prasadam and their bathing, etc. And then the cows, they wander. They wander into this Munjavan forest. They wander far away from this Bhandiravana. And Krishna and Balaram, they rest at this time. They've lain down and they're resting, and they're being fanned by some cowherd suckers, some intimate cowherd suckers. And the rest of the cowherd boys, they don't want to wake Krishna and Balaram, so they decide they will go and search for the cows again. The cows and calves, they wandered off. and it's a very hot day. It's in the middle of June and May, and the cows have wandered into this very thorny forest of munjas, which is like sharp bladed grass, and it's very dry. And they've come into this area, and the cows have become thirsty, they're parched, and there's no water anywhere, but they've lost their way out. They can't find the path to get out of there. And the suckers, they are searching for them, and then the suckers, they find them in this condition. And all of a sudden, Kamsa's servants, they send a forest fire demon to manifest an enormous fire surrounding the cows and the cowherd boys. This forest fire immediately blazes in a tremendously hot fire surrounding them completely. So then the suckers and the cows, their only refuge is Krishna. Their only refuge at any time is Krishna. But in a time of danger, when it's challenging for them, then they immediately start crying for Krishna. Krishna, he wakes instantly and knows, and immediately he comes into their midst with Baladev. And then he tells all the suckers to close their eyes. They have to close their eyes because Krishna is about to drink the forest fire. And he remembers when he was a little boy and he was eating dirt and they all complained to Mother Yashoda. So he thinks if they complain to Mother Yashoda while I was eating dirt, if they see me eating fire, they're going to complain even more. So then they close their eyes, and Krishna very easily swallows that entire forest fire, blazing fire. And then he transfers them all back to this Bhandiravana tree in Bhandiravana, under this cool shade of this beautiful, huge tree. So now they're all sitting back, and the cows are sitting also in this huge area where they can be sheltered by Krishna and Balaram and sheltered from the scorching sun. So they feel like they've just woken up from a dream. This is how it's described, that they've been pulled out of this Munja Van forest. So this is the pastime we also hear at this place. And also the Vatsasura demon was killed here. The calf demon was killed here, who tried to join in the pastimes here in Bhandiravana. And Krishna immediately could understand that this is a demon. He was actually replacing one young boy who didn't come that particular day. But Krishna could tell immediately this was a demon. And then he very quietly crept up behind him, grabbed his hind legs, and swung him around. So the centrifugal force of his swinging took the life of that demon, and he became just he manifested his huge demonic form and just fell down in front of all the sakas. And the sakas were glorifying Krishna greatly for his prowess. Also, it's described here that Pralambasura was killed here. So the pastime of Pralambasura is very beautiful. And this is performed also at this place. But this is Baladev who's killing this demon. Pralamba represents lustful natures towards the opposite sex. And it's Baladev again in the form of Guru, who actually kills this demon, just like we spoke the other day on Dhenukasura. It's Baladev who kills the Pralambasura. Pralambasura again is a huge demon. And we remember the pastime, how Krishna and Balaram, they recognize this is a demon. And Krishna arranges a game of thieves and police, cops and robbers, we can say. And Baladev is on one party and Krishna is on the other. And whoever is the loser in the game, Krishna makes amazing games that the sakas become entranced by every day. Krishna is just a repository of the most innovative games and fun for the sakas. He's always conceiving of newer and newer exciting games to play. So in this game, the losers have to carry the winners on their shoulders. And Baladev has become the loser, and Pralamba Sura is actually the winner, and he's riding on the shoulders of Balaram. And Balaram is carrying, I'm sorry, the other way around. Pralamba Sura is carrying Balaram on his shoulders. And Pralambasura is starting to go much further than they're supposed to go in the game. And Baladev becomes confused. He's not sure what's happening here. Baladev, it's described, is completely immersed in a mood of Sakya-ras, and he's forgotten his omniscient potency. And he glances to Krishna. This is how it's described in the pastime. And Krishna sends him a glance to remind him of his potency, his true potency. And then immediately, Balaram, he becomes heavy on the shoulders of Pralambasura, who then manifests as his full demonic form. And then Baladev, just with his fist, he punches his head and kills him. And again, Balaram becomes the celebrated hero amongst the Sakas. So this pastime also takes place here. So there's Vatsasura is killed here, Pralambasura is killed here, and the Munja forest pastime is performed here. So many pastimes are performed in this place. When we come to this place, it's so, as I described initially, the atmosphere is so sweet. It's so beautiful. The air is always fresh because there are so many huge trees keeping the air very fresh. Even in summertime, it's still cool. In wintertime, it's warm. This is a magical forest to visit, this Bhandiravat. And then just south of Bhandiravat is the forest of Mathavana. And in Mathavana, there's the township of Mat. And in Mat is famous for making the matkas, those large clay carrying vessels for water that we see all the gopis carrying. So this is famous for making these matkas, these clay pots. And there's a pastime here where the gopis are wanting to cross over the Jamuna from this particular spot on the other side, on the Vrindavan side. But it's at this spot where they're crossing over. And at that time, Jamuna is in flood. And they ask Krishna, how can we cross the Jamuna? They want to carry offerings of ladus, etc., many sweets to Durvasa Rishi. This is in Vasant Panchami time, very famous time. So all the gopis, they want to cross over Jamuna, but Jamuna is in spate, is in full flood at this time, and the gopis, they can't cross. So they ask Krishna, how can we cross? And Krishna tells them, tell Jamuna Devi that if Krishna has never looked at the face of a gopi and never had any amorous attraction towards the gopis, then you should make a path for the gopis to walk across. And Jamuna immediately arranges for the gopis to walk across the river. So the gopis are amazed that Jamuna Devi has heard their prayer and made a path across. And then they come across very happily with all their offerings. They go to Durvasa Rishi, and then they offer their offerings to Durvasa. He eats hundreds, thousands of preparations from the Sakis. And then when it's time to return, again, they have to face the formidable Jamuna waves. And then they turn to Durvasa and they ask Durvasa, how shall we cross back again into Vrindavan? And Durvasa says, well, how did you come here? And then they tell him, well, Krishna told us that he is in fact a brahmachari and he never looks on the face of any young girls at all. And we told this to Jamuna and she parted her waves. So then Durvasa says, now you tell Jamuna Devi that Durvasa never eats any thing offered to him except dhruva grass. And so the gopis are a little bit bewildered because they've just seen him eating all these hundreds and thousands of offerings. So they tell this to Jamuna Devi. And Jamuna Devi again parts her waves and the gopis return. So on returning, I'm going to read this little section here because it's very clearly described by Srila Gurudev in his Brajamandal Prikrama. It's saying that Krishna is replying to the gopis' query about this. And then Krishna replies, although I stay with all of you day and night, my vow of celibacy nonetheless remains intact. because I do not think myself as the enjoyer. Durvasa is also free from the identification. Therefore, although he has eaten everything, he has eaten nothing. A person who thinks himself to be the enjoyer is strongly attached to the material existence. So, of course, Krishna is not attached to the material existence. The gopis looked at Krishna in great astonishment. This place where the gopis crossed the Jamuna is called Panigat or Panigaon. So this place of Panigaon is where we've come to today, just after the forest of Bhandiravana. So this is a very extraordinary, astonishing pastime to appreciate that Krishna, he's not engaged in any material activities whatsoever. All his activities are on the utmost transcendental platform, even though it appears that he's engaging in like material activities to attract the jivas. We say this verse constantly, Anugrahaya Bhaktana Manusyam Deha Ashridha Bhajate Tat Rishi Kritva Yashrutva Tatrabo Vavat. That Krishna, he manifests these pastimes to attract the jivas to him in this in our conditioned state. So these are the pastimes that we relish today on this eastern bank of the river, coming from Bhadravana to Bhandiravana to Bhailvan, and we've also gone to Mana-sarovara on this side. So this is a very ecstatic day. We're on our buses and we come into this beautiful atmosphere on the other side of Jamuna. It's very glorious for the devotees to be in this wonderful atmosphere. Huh? So yes, we drink this charge here also. The buttermilk, we're also offered here, and gore. We take prasadam there, and the local people, they bring us charge, and they bring us gore, and often they bring us mountains of what do you call them? Paratas also. So the devotees are very much satisfied being in this splendid atmosphere. So this is the mood of Braj at this point. Very glorious place to be, very wonderful to hear the loud symphony of the parrots and the peacocks and appreciate all the wildlife here. So Bhandiravana ki jai, Bhadravana ki jai, Mana-sarovara ki jai, Bhailvan ki jai, Baladev Prabhu ki jai, Vamsivat ki jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, Vanshakalpa Tarupyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha, Patitanam Pavnibhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. I'm not sure if Yashodhadari, is she's going to come back on, or Tarun?
I'm back.
Are you
Unfortunately,
back? Okay.
you have to see my face again. I'm sure everyone's enjoying seeing other MCs that are much better looking and much better at MCing than me. So, but unfortunately, I'm back for the closing of this. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Vaikanas Maharaj, and thank you, Sadvaita Maharaj, for these glorious pastime places, keeping us engaged and our hearts engaged in these places, to offer our hearts to these places and take the dust of Harikatha in our ears. So thank you so much, Maharaj. Tomorrow, we're at the same time as today, though we finished early today, which we were expecting, I think. So tomorrow tomorrow is Ekadasi firstly, so those in India and I think in England also is Ekadasi there, so I'm presuming Europe is the same. Not sure about America, it might be today. But tomorrow our three Maharajas will take us to Haridev Temple, Brahmakund, Chakleshwar Mahadev, Mukhar Vrinda, Sanatan Goswami's Bhajan Kuti. So we're doing that when we come out of the Govardhan Mutt, that little parikrama around there. So we're fortunate to be going there tomorrow. And it's Ekadasi, so how glorious to also hear the pastime places of these places on Ekadasi from divine personalities like these marriages here. So again, thank you for everyone for joining. We're going to close with Kirtan. You will unfortunately have not me as a MC tomorrow. You have Janava Didi, who's much more cooperative and much more nicer than me. So she'll be your MC tomorrow. So we will see you all tomorrow. And I think Nityananda Prabhu will also close with Kirtan in a second. So if you could turn your video on, then I can unmute you. Hari Bol. Okay.
Haribol.
Hari Bol.
Okay, so here we are and beautiful parikram today. It reminds me of the sweetness that is ever present in Braj. So I was thinking, well, what better bhajan to sing than Madhurastakam? So if you have this book, the old version, it will be in page 293, 293 by Srimad Vallabhacharya.
Nityananda Prabhu ki joy.
Maduram Vadana Maduram Nayana Maduram Hasita Maduram Hridaya Maduram Gamana Maduram Madhurhadipate Rakila Maduram Vachanam Maduram Charita Maduram Vasana Maduram Valita Maduram Chalita Maduram Brahmitam Maduram Madhuradipatir Akila Maduram Venur Madhuro Renur Madhura Panir Madhura Padho Madhuram Nritya Madhuram Sakya Madhuram Madhuradipatir Akila Madhuram Gitam Madhura Pitam Madhuram Bhukta Madhuram Subta Madhuram Rupa Madhuram Tilaka Madhuram Madhurhadipatir Akila Madhuram Karanam Maduram, Taranam Maduram, Haranam Maduram, Ramana Maduram, Vamita Maduram, Shamita Maduram, Madhurhadipatir, Akila Madura. Gunja Madhura, Mala Madhura, Yamuna Madhura, Vichi Madhura, Salila Madhura, Kamala Madhura. Madhuradipatir Akilam Madhuram Gopira Madhura Lila Madhura Yukta Madhuram Bhukta Madhuram Krishna Madhuram Shlishta Madhuram Madhurhadipate Akilam Madhuram Gopa Madhura Gavo Madhura Dyashtir Madhura Shrishtir Madhura Dalita Madhuram Falita Madhuram Madhurhadipatir Akira Madhuram Madhurhadipatir Akila Madhuram. Jaya Giriraja Jaya Govardhana Jaya Govardhana Jaya Vrindavana Jaya Radha Kunda Jaya Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Jai Sham Kunda Jayo Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Haribol 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 Gaura Haribol Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Giridhari Sri Radha